Okay, so this is the first number on the exam practice. So the first part of this question said to tell me what the signs have to be. Now, you don't have to write the parentheses down. I'm doing it for simplicity. But the way that I taught you to factor was that the middle sign goes first. And then the other one is either the same or it's different. And to figure that out, you have to look over here. I multiplied a negative. If I put a minus here, a negative times a negative would be a positive. So there's no way this can be a minus. This one has to be a plus. A negative times a plus is a negative. So I know that my signs then for part A has to be negative and plus. The negative has to go first. The larger number has to get the negative, or this middle number. I don't know the middle number. I don't know what it is. That's why there's a question mark there. But I know that that whatever pair I choose, the bigger number has to get that negative, or that would be negative. Now, part B says, list all the pairs of numbers that you could possibly use to make the 12. So, well, obviously 1 and 12, right? Or you could pick 2 and 6. You should do these in order. And, you know, if you want, let's do it the way I taught you. So start with 1 and then go to 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Is 12 divisible by 3? Absolutely. 3 and 4. Now 4 I already have, so you try 5. 12 is not divisible by 5, so that's out. And then 6, well, I already have 6. As soon as you get a repeat, you know you have them all. So these are my 3 pairs of numbers whose product is 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. That's all you had to do was list them. Now, part C is the tricky part. Could the middle number have been an 11? So what you got to do, the signs are different. That means I have to subtract. So the question is, can one of those pairs make an 11 when I subtract them? 4 minus 3 is 1, 6 minus 2 is 4, and 12 minus 1 is 11. So absolutely, you can subtract 1 and 12. Now here's the thing. It would have to be negative 12 and positive 1. It could not be positive 12, take away 1, because if it was, if you put a 12 here and a 1 there, this would have been a plus 11. That's not, so it's not possible. This is, you're going to see, I'm going to figure out question number 2 this way. So the only way that you could have made an 11 in the middle was to do negative 12 and 1. You don't have to even tell me that part. You just have to tell me that you can make an 11 by subtracting 1 and 12. The signs are different, so you subtract. If the signs were the same, I could have made a 13, an 8, and a 7. But the signs are different from each other, so you have to subtract the pairs. All right, so problem 2. This one's a multiple choice question, but it is the same question as problem number 1. You don't even realize that because I gave you a list of choices. Don't just pick one of these. You should basically just ignore them all. I want to know basically what number has to go, what could have gone there. Now, you should do the same thing you did on question number 1, which is figure out your signs. Remember, your signs have to go like this. This one goes first, and then this one, since this is a negative, if I had a plus here, a positive times a positive is not a negative. I mean, that's nonsense. This has to be a negative. So you have to have the signs being different. Now, I'm going to ignore my answers again. I'm going to go to 10, and I'm going to list my pairs. I could have 1 and 10, or I can have 2 and 5. Is 10 divisible by 3? No. Is it divisible by 4? No. Is it divisible by 5? Yes, but I already have 5. These are the only 2 pairs I have. Now, here's the magic. I need a positive here. Do you agree? This has to be positive, you know, whatever pair I pick, I have to put the larger number here. If I don't, let's say I put 1 here and I put 10 there. Do the rainbow. You get positive 1x and you get negative 10x. That's negative 9. That's a negative in the middle. The larger number for each pair has to go first. So what are the possibilities? You can have positive 10 and negative 1, or you can have positive 5 and negative 2. So now let me look at the choices. I have a positive 2. No, that would mean that I have positive 2 and negative 5. That fucks up the whole thing. So this choice is out, right? So that doesn't work. You can either have positive 10 and negative 1. Here's a negative 10. That's out. Here's a positive 1. That's out. Here's a negative 5. That's out. Here's my winner, x plus 10. So my pair could have been x plus 10 and x minus 1. None of these other combinations would work. Here you had to have an x plus 2. That gives you a negative 3 in the middle, right? Positive 5, take away 2, negative 3 in the middle. This pair would have had negative 10 with it. Negative 10 plus 1 is negative 9 in the middle. You don't have a negative here. You have a positive here. You had to put the larger number first. That's the way that you do this question. You do a little bit of on the side. You list your pairs. You figure out, okay, the bigger number in the pair had to go with the plus because I have a plus here. And then you just look for that choice. All right, so this is one of the questions from the sheet. This is 3F. This question will be on the final. It's a trinomial. However, I mean, you have a 2, a 4, and a 6, which are all divisible by 2. And then you have A, B. They all have A, B. So you're going to have a GCF. The way this works out on the final, the way it always works out, whatever the last term is, this is always going to be your GCF. What divides 2, 4, and 6? Well, 2. That is the greatest common factor. You have A2, A3, A4. You take the smallest one, which is A2. You have B2, B4, B5. You take the smallest one, which is B2. Now you write that guy in the front, and then you divide it away. 4 divided by 2 is 2. A3 divided by A2, subtract them, you get A to the first. B4, B2, subtract them, you get B2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. A4 divided by A2, right? You subtract the powers, you get A squared. B5 divided by B2, you subtract the powers, you get B3. Now, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. A squared's cross out. B squared's cross out. Don't forget this. This is why this is on the final. People forget to put that negative 1 there. So if you were to multiply this by him, him, and him, boop, 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 1, 2, 3, you get back the original thing. So that was the greatest common factor. All right, so we're doing 2 more from the sheet. I'm doing 4C and E. These are type 5. Both of these have common factors that have to be removed out. And then once I do that, I'm going to look at what's left over and keep factoring. So look, I have 5, 10, and 15. If you can't figure out that 5, 10, and 15 are all divisible by 5, then I'm worried about you. So I'm going to divide the 5 away. But look, why 5? Why 5? Why 5? I mean, hello? What do they have in common? A why 5. So I'm going to remove y5 from every one of them. And I'm also going to divide all the numbers by 5. So look, 5 divided by 5 makes a 1. Now I'm going to get rid of that y5. It's not there anymore. So I'm left with x squared. I'm going to do negative 10 divided by 5, which is negative 2. This y5 is not there anymore. I put it in front. So what am I left with there? X. Then I'm going to do negative 15 divided by 5, which is negative 3. You see that y5? I got rid of it. It's right there. And now you're like, oh man, done. Not done. This is cool. This is part of my answer. 5y to the 5th power. However, this dude right there factors more. So you have to continue to break this guy down. I'm going to put x and x. I know that x and x is x squared. I'm going to put this sign first. This sign has to be different, right? You have a negative here. The signs have to be opposite. This is not minus minus, or that would be a plus. Now I need a pair. There's only 2 numbers whose product is 3. 3 and 1. You have to put the 3 first, or you don't get the negative 2 in the middle. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So I know I have my signs right. This is your final answer. 2 steps. Factor out the GCF and then keep going. This is worth 1, 2, 3 points because the answer has 3 parts. Now this one, you have 8, 40, and 50. There's only one number that goes into them all, and that's a 2. They're all divisible by 2. I can cut them all in half. Now, I have x4, x3, x2, y2, and y. But this doesn't have a y. So they don't all have a y in common, but they all have x in common. But look, x2, x3, x4. You take the smallest one, which is x2, not x. You have to take x2, 3, 4. You got to take the smallest, which is 2. Now, 8 divided by 2 is 4. x4 divided by x2 leaves you with x2. 40 divided by 2, you have a negative there. Cut 40 in half, you get 20. I took away 2 of those x's, right? There was x3, I took away 2 of them. That y is stuck there. I have to leave it there. 50 divided by 2 is 25. That x squared I removed completely, so it's not there anymore, but the y squared is still there. And then you're like, holy shit, what the hell am I supposed to do with this crap? Well, this is a special type. The guy in the front, perfect square. The guy at the end, perfect square, and he's positive. So you have a perfect square in the front, and you have a perfect square at the end, and it's positive. So you're going to play the game of something times itself. So I need to make 4x squared. So I got to put 2x, 2x. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Now at the end, don't worry about the middle. I need 25y2. So I got to put 5y and 5y. 5 times 5, 25. Y times y, y squared. Now my signs must be the same. Minus, minus. Check real quick. Negative 10xy. Over here, you get negative 10xy. Negative 10 and negative 10 is negative 20 in the middle. Just showing you that it works. This is it. 2 steps. Step 1, GCF. Step 2, keep factoring what's in the parentheses 1 more. Again, 1, 2, 3 points. All right, so question 5C from the sheet. That looks funny. So this is a solve by factoring. So the first thing that you had to do was set it equal to 0 so that you can use that 0 factor property I taught you. So this guy has to come away from that side. I need a 0 over there. So I'm going to do the opposite of whatever I see. If this had been a negative, I would put a plus here. You do the opposite of whatever you see. I see a positive 10x, so I'm going to subtract 10x. Now, you can't just put it over here. You need to put it where it would go normally. And where the 10x would normally go is in the middle. So I'm going to write it in the center where it's supposed to be. The middle term is always something with an x, and then positive 24. So your first step is to set it equal to 0 if it's not already done for you. Now, the second step is to factor it. Now, you have to be super careful here. I know that it's x and x. Now, I know this sign goes first. Now, if I put a plus here, a negative times a positive is not a positive. So in this case, because my last number is positive, I know my signs have to be the same. Now I'm going to very quickly write my pairs down. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8. Hello. It would help if I could multiply. 4 and 6, 5, no. These are all of the pairs of numbers whose product is 24. You have to be very careful. 12 and 2, I want to point this out. 12 minus 2 is 10. So if you're not paying attention or you get your signs wrong, you might pick this pair and say, oh, I got it. 12 and 2 make 10. The problem is 12 and 2 subtract to be 10. And I need a pair of numbers who add to be 10. My signs are negative, negative. So I got to add my pairs. Here I can make 25. Here I could make 14. Here I could make 11. Sorry, it's sloppy because all I care about is this part. 6 plus 4 make 10. So this has to be a negative 6 and a negative 4 to make the 10 in the middle. You want to check real quick? You can check. Negative 6x, negative 4x is the negative 10x that I have there. So I know that's good. Now, why did I set this equal to 0? If the product of two things is 0, then one of them must be 0. This was in that factoring lesson. So that's the reason that I have it equal to 0. So now if I multiply these two dudes and make 0, one of them must have been 0. So either the first guy is 0 or the second guy is 0. And now solve. I mean, this is ridiculousness at the end. I want to say you can't possibly screw this up, but I'm afraid to say that. So these are the two answers you get that make the original equation equal. All right. Set it equal to 0, factor. Set each one of those factors equal to 0 separately, and then solve them. All right, so this is the last one that I'm going to work from the sheet. Multiplying radicals. You have to be able to really do quite a bit of stuff here. So first, you're going to distribute. You're going to hop the fence and say hello to everybody. So first, you're going to do radical 2 times 3 radical 2. How do you do it? You multiply the numbers on the outside, and you multiply the numbers on the inside of the jail. So on the outside of the jail, you have a 3. Radical 2 times radical 2 is radical 4. Now again, at the end, you have a 1 here and a 1 here. So what's on the outside? 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Radical 2 and radical 6 make radical 12. You multiply the numbers on the outside, you multiply the numbers on the inside. Now, radical 4. That's a perfect square. He comes out of jail. Yay! So you free him from the jail. He's going to hang out with his buddy. Radical 12, however, is not a perfect square, but you can break it down with radical 4 and radical 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Radical 4 comes out of jail. Radical 3 is stuck in jail. And remember what I said to you when I taught this lesson, no matter how badly you want to add these things together. I was going to put B for banana. Let's put A for apple. You have $6 and 2 apples. That's not 8 apples. You can't add this. This is not 6A plus 2A. So same thing here. This is not 6 radical 3 plus 2 radical 3. You cannot add that 6 and that 2 no matter how badly you want to. And believe me, you're going to want to.